Hey, good morning. Welcome into Friday, everybody. It's Laura here. I'm a twin flame coach, twin flame guide, twin flame reader, and we are going to dig into the astrology today. We are going to go deeper in with the tarot and the oracle messages. So if you're new here, hit that subscribe button down below. But let's get right into these energies today. We have two culminating transits taking place today. The first one I feel is pretty significant because we do have Venus and Virgo in a conjunction to the South Node and respectively in an opposition to the North Node in Pisces. This is a second house, 8th house opposition. This culminating transit is happening Eastern Standard Time on the chart that you're going to see up on the screen today. So adjust the timing based on your own area in the world. But this is the karmic love reset point. And so we're kind of still in that eclipse portal clearing until we get through to the full moon in Aries. And so we're really not out of that clearing yet. We're really not out of the woods yet. And there's a very prominent energy with the Tower reversed and the Ace of Swords. And so there is an undeniable change happening within the Twin Flame Collective this week. And we are being asked to let go of control so we can trust in the path forward and going towards what's really meant for us, right? And trusting that what is meant for us is going to find its way to us. The second culminating transit we do have today is Mercury and Libra in an opposition to Chiron retrograde in Aries. And this is a very prominent Knight of Wands reversed, Four of Wands reversed archetype. And so we're kind of healing the throat chakra wound. We're healing the voice wound. And so there's going to be old wounds around communication coming to the surface, maybe where we felt misunderstood. This is all going to come boiling out. And so we're going to be triggered, right? A lot of the feminines get triggered by the divine masculines, silence and ghosting, the distance. And then we can often become very defensive as well. And so having that conversation is actually where true healing can happen. And so we're being called into compassion. We're being called into vulnerability with this opposition, because the lesson here is saying we cannot avoid what actually hurts. We can't run from it. We can't hide from it. We can suppress it all we want, but the hurt is still going to be below the surface if we don't talk about it. If we don't acknowledge it, it's going to sit there. It's going to fester. It's going to grow. And so this transit is bringing forward the lesson of speaking with love. How can you replace judgment with understanding? So let's break this down. Let's talk about the very first transit, the Venus and the nodes energy. And we will also break down the Mercury opposition, Chiron. But first, let's talk about Venus conjunct the South Node. You can see it there sitting in the second house. And so the second house is connected to worth, money, stability, our finances, right? And so there is a repeated karmic cycle here tied to the second house. And we have the second house sitting there in Virgo at 15 degrees orb 4. This is where the Tower moment is taking place, is connected to the second house and the Virgo's South Node, where maybe we've clung to order, we've clung to control, we've clung to some type of toxic attachment out of the false sense of security that it has brought. This really does carry the undertone of the Emperor and the Devil archetype. And so this is where the divine masculine has to break down his material world, has to break down the false sense of control, the rigid structures, and anything that he's relied upon to give him a sense of self-worth, a false sense of self-worth. And so this is a revelation of some sort, I feel, connected to that false foundation, that false sense of security that really has been holding him back from the 8th house of surrender, because we have the opposition with the North Node and the North Node in the 8th house. We also see Saturn retrograde in Pisces in the 8th house and Neptune retrograde in Aries still in the 8th house, and it will be going back into Pisces this month. And so there is an opportunity here to release these ego-based attachments or these external attachments tied to this sense of self-worth and stability. And with Saturn retrograde in Pisces, there is an Ace of Wands reversed, Nine of Wands reversed archetype kind of carrying with it this need to release a burden with that 10 of Wands energy at play. And so the resistance, the weight of the resistance, I feel, is very much unsustainable with this transit today for the masculine. And we can't fight divine timing, right? I think that's the lesson here, is we cannot fight divine timing, and we cannot avoid surrender forever. With Neptune retrograde at 0 degrees in Aries in the 8th house, this is the Fool and the 3 of Wands. So we're kind of at that threshold energy point today where a leap of faith is going to be required. And so it's like the masculine is standing on the edge. And this is a major karmic crossroads for the twins today. The divine masculine collective is being kind of confronted with these truths connected to their self-worth and where they've equated their value or their worth to all of this external validation. And their finances, their rigidity, their identity structures that just aren't in alignment with these new higher timelines and these new spiritual activations that are saturating the collective right now. And so there's a major crumbling of an illusion here is what I see. And it's opening up the finality of the eclipse portal gateway to go deeper towards intimacy, because that's what the 8th house and the transformation of the 8th house is asking of the collective in these energies today. But we can only achieve that through spiritual surrender. And so for the feminine, I feel once again, we are being tested in our faith and our patience. And I know it's so hard to stay patient. And so I feel there's this energy of the masculine losing control, but this is part of the divine realignment, because this has to kind of pull him away from that false material attachment, whether it's a job, a relationship, or just an old ego identity structure. And this has to kind of break down in order for him to step into the truth of the spiritual union. And so with the second transit of Mercury and Libra in opposition to Chiron in retrograde, there's that Knight of Wands reversed, 4 of Wands reversed archetype. The Knight of Wands energy really behaves that way because there's fear of commitment, right? And there's a lack of stability, I feel. There's a separation energy here. And there's this avoidance of the union surrounding the masculine, because he's in this all attention seeking behavior. And he does this to mask the wound of the separation. And so there's deep wounds surfacing. There's an urge for balance here in the energies today. There's an urge for conversation, communication. And I think there's a lot of fear of rejection and fear of commitment, which kind of prevents the masculine from stepping forward into his path or onto his path into his purpose. And so there's a lot of wounding connected to the masculine around instability. And this is going to really highlight the pattern of running away when intimacy demands the depth of that, right? And so all of these old karmic cycles of avoidance are being activated, and a lot of the masculines will go towards fleeting connections, temporary fixes, and all of that is being exposed in the energies today. It's kind of as if Spirit is saying to the masculine, you can't build a foundation or a 4 of Wands union until you face your Knight of Wands reversed energy, which is the fear of commitment and the inconsistencies that you bring into each relationship cycle. And so this energy today, as you can hear the throat chakra going, I feel is triggering the feminine, connected to the feelings of rejection or abandonment connected to the counterpart. And so this for the feminine, I feel, is an invitation to go deeper into self-trust, to go deeper into sovereignty, and to recognize that the separation part of the journey is the necessary part of the clearing process, right? We each have to clear our own rejection of the soul bond, and we have to clear our own ancestral karmic patterns in separation. And so all of this is kind of looking ahead, I want to say, to that full moon in Aries, which is taking place on Monday. And so all of this energy is building. That full moon in Aries on Monday is going to illuminate the breakthrough from all of the culminating transits happening this week. And so right now we're kind of crystallizing the lesson, and the full moon in Aries is going to be the turning point. And so the masculine collective is being pushed to release all of these outdated cycles and their control issues, their false sense of material security, their fear of intimacy, and facing all of this avoidance. And the feminine is being asked to anchor in and hold in that higher frequency. And we do that by holding on to the faith and surrendering to the divine and to divine timing. We have to trust in divine timing because we are not in control of divine timing. And so when we anchor into our own sense of self-worth and we're no longer waiting for external validation, that's when everything starts to shift. And so I feel right now the universe is pulling us back into some fear-based thoughts so we can release that lack mentality, and so we can really fully surrender into the unknown. And the Mercury Chiron opposition for me is really forcing, I feel, the masculine to confront his deepest, darkest commitment wounds and commitment fears. And so we do need to remember union is not built on performance. Union is not built on perfectionism. And we have to forge through because truth, surrender, and faith is what really builds a divine union. So with that being said, I would like to quickly mention I am launching the enrollment date for the astrology membership on Monday, the day of the full moon. So if you are excited about that, if you are curious about learning astrology from me, we are going to launch the first lesson of the membership on Wednesday, October the 8th. They're going to be 90-minute sessions. This is going to be in a group session online through Google Meets. This is going to be a great cost-effective way to learn astrology. We're going to start from the ground. We're going to build ourselves up, and we're going to learn how to use astrology to better our lives spiritually, emotionally, physically, and financially. So if you are curious about that, comment down below. I'm excited to share with you this new astrology membership framework. If you would like to go further and learn a little bit more about your birth chart because you're new to astrology, I do have a free guide. Comment down below free guide and I will send you the link to download the free guide to learn the basics of your birth chart. But let's get into some cards. Let's see what the cards have to say today. All right, let's start breaking down these cards. The first card out with the Wisdom of the Oracle deck today is the Treasure Island card. It's a 9 card, and so 9s are all about completion. We are in a 9-year, and I've talked about it before, and I'm going to mention it again. The closer we get to the end of this year, with it being a 9-year, the harder it's going to be for those that are still holding on to the old cycle. And so we do see the sea turtle, and turtles do represent the energy of slow and steady. And we see this beautiful treasure chest opening up on the back of the turtle. And I feel like this is all about calming our emotions. I feel this very strong energy of the law of attraction coming through with this card today. And I do feel the Virgoan qualities as well, because 9 is the Hermit card in the Major Arcana, which was what came through on the bottom of the deck. That's where I stopped, on the bottom of the deck. And so this card to me is saying this journey really is a treasure. This twin flame relationship truly is a treasure because it allows us to open up our most authentic self. It awakens our gifts. It awakens this energy within us. And I do feel with this law of attraction energy coming through, we do have the ability to bring our dreams into fruition, but we first have to complete an old cycle. The second card out was By the Book in reversed. This is probably one of my most favorite cards. Elephants are near and dear to my heart. My grandmother collected elephants. My grandmother passed back in 2016. And so there's something here, I want to say, connected to generational patterns, right? We see almost like the 3 generations of elephants. And usually when we are clearing generational patterns on this journey, which is a big part of the twin flame journey, to clear these generational patterns, we have to go back 3 generations. And so we're clearing, like, I'm not only clearing patterns connected to my mother or my grandmother, but the deeper link is a pattern connected to my great grandmother, or I would have called her my meme. And so as I go further into writing my transgenerational astrology book, the more I see the patterns going 3 generations before us. And so it's also an 11 card, which does signify the energy of justice. We have the Libra energy coming through in the astrology today, and it's a reversed card. And so there's a challenge here. There's a protection message here, I want to say, where we are being guided as twins to break free from abiding to all of these societal rules, all of these societal expectations, to release the conformity of the status quo, right? Because it's in reverse. And so we kind of have to get to a point where we release the resistance to the change. And right now we have an opportunity to create real change, but now is the time. And then we go right into the regeneration card. This is the card of rebirth. It's a 46 card, and that is connected to the 6 of Cups card in the tarot. The 6 of Cups card is key 46 in the tarot. And so there is a lot of nostalgia, I feel, especially with Venus conjunct the North Node. There's a rebirth energy happening here, right? And so we kind of have to burn everything down to the ground. We have to burn it all down in order to rebuild with those new spiritual beliefs, those new spiritual principles. And so this card to me is telling me there is an opportunity for a second chance, okay? But we have to seize the opportunity, right? And no matter what loss we endure on this journey, no matter what loss has occurred, endings are necessary. The separation is necessary in order to kind of shatter all of these illusions so we can see beyond the abiding societal rules. And so what I love that came out on the bottom of the deck is the Clean It Up card. And so it's a 21 card that's connected to the world. And so we're closing out the negative repetitive cycles, right? We're releasing conformity. And I feel this is where we kind of get to the root cause of the status quos that we've played into. This is like the energy of no more sweeping the problems under the rug, right? We got to lift up the rug. We got to clean up the dirt. We got to bring it all out into the center of the room so we can finally release the burden. I feel that's what we're being asked to do, is release this long-standing burden. And we get the fork in the road. And so this is the pivot point. It's the 13 card. And so there is transformation, there is death, there is rebirth here. There's a need to step into leadership. And although we can be presented with many paths on this journey, there's one path that will lead us back home to our most authentic self. So there's a shedding going on here. I feel there is we can no longer keep sweeping issues under the rug. And there is a need for action. There is a need for the masculine to take action to complete these incomplete cycles. So let's talk about the tarot spread because it's quite clear the masculine energy is coming through very loud today. The masculine, I feel, is facing some pretty harsh karmic judgment. We do get the judgment card in reverse, and so that is connected to Pluto. We do still have Pluto retrograde. It will be going direct this month. And so the masculine, I feel, is still in that process of what I want to call soul retrieval. And I feel still in that bad judgment call of that illusion, of that false foundation. because we see Piscean energy here. And so there's a need for the masculine to step into instilling some boundaries here with the 7 of Wands upright. And so the masculine, I feel, could be in a cycle where somebody has been playing on his heartstrings to keep him stuck in a false connection, in a false commitment. But I love that the Emperor card came out upright today, because this is the card of action. The Emperor upright does the right thing. He stands up for what is true, what is just, what is right. And he's kind of standing with those 2 wands. So he is at that threshold moment. He is at that crossroads moment where he's going to have to make a decision. And I do feel it is about walking away from some type of fantasy or some type of an illusion. Now, the masculine could be dealing with a Pisces, could be dealing with a Leo, could be dealing with a Cancer. I feel strong Pisces here. So I could be talking to either an Aries or Cancer masculine, an Aries Cancer masculine coming through, maybe dealing with a Pisces. Doesn't have to be, but these are prominent energies. And we also have Capricorn in the 3 of coins in reversed. And so there's an opportunity here to release a false collaboration where I feel the masculine's been the one slaving away in this connection anyway, and to surrender to divine timing, right? And so we get Jupiter energy, we get the Wheel of Fortune. So we do have Jupiter in Cancer, which is in its sign of exaltation, but we do still have to face the challenges. And so there's a challenge here connected to a separation. And then we do get this 8 of Cups in reverse. So there is a 10 of Cups in reverse. There's the shattering of an illusion here in order for this new perspective to be gained. And so this is really telling me that when Neptune dips back into Pisces, these illusions are going to be shattered. And so there's a shift in consciousness happening with this transit today. And because the South Node does deal with past life soulmate connections, there is a new identity, I feel, being birthed under this transit. And so this is also going to highlight where I feel the masculine has martyred himself in a situation where maybe he felt it was fated. Maybe he felt it was going to bring him abundance, but it kind of feels like everything's getting flipped upside down. And the 8 of Cups in reverse is also a need to go back, right? Maybe a need to go back to the feminine that the masculine is in separation with. And I loved that the Ace of Swords came out on the bottom of the deck. And so this is the truth. This is the Tower of Truth. And so the divine is bringing in some kind of information, whether it's through conversation, signs, synchronicities, or downloads. There is an undeniable truth here, and I feel it is connected to the betrayal of the divine feminine. The worst has already happened. And so there's a truth being illuminated about an imbalance here that needs to be brought back together. And I feel the masculine is deep within this energy of re-identifying with himself, soul searching, shining a light on his shadow aspects. And I feel he's not quite ready to come out of this rebirth process just yet. So a truth that he's been sleeping on is coming to light. And this truth, I feel, is connected to where the masculine has avoided doing the healing work, where he's avoided going into the heart and clearing that heart chakra pain, right? Because there was avoidance, I feel, in that karmic connection. And I do feel there is an injustice here being made right. And because it is divine time. Because the time is now to plant those seeds. And so I don't know if there's been an energy of like overindulgence, masking through overindulgence. But there is this undeniable strong magnetic attraction here between the twins. There's chemistry. And so it's almost like as the feminine keeps rising, this will magnetically draw the masculine out of the shadows, out of the darkness. And I do feel the angels are encouraging the twins and encouraging the feminine to give this relationship a chance. Work on the partnership. Work on this because it is a divinely guided union between the twins. And we are here to extend this lighthearted energy into the collective. The energy of the twins when they come together is magnetic. And so I think the message is pretty strong here today. The masculine is kind of being pulled up into the rise. And I feel he's kind of coming into this Phoenix moment with the energies this weekend. So that's what I have. I hope that resonated. I hope you enjoyed that reading today. If you would like to go further with me with a personal session, check out the link below. You will find the link to my webpage. I offer different reading scales, different types of services. Go find a reading that works for you, and I would love to get that booked in for you. And don't forget to stay tuned for the astrology membership that will be ready to go live on Monday, and we're having our first class launch on Wednesday. I hope to see you there.